So in the last video, we looked at how we can factor these polynomials. Now we're going to see where we use it. We use factoring so that we can solve things. Right now, you don't have a method for how to solve something that says x squared plus whatever. However, if you can get it just to be an x plus 2, then you can solve it because it's a plain x. So when we factor, we're getting rid of those x squareds by rewriting them as smaller pieces, and then we can solve from there. So our steps, first you got to make one side equal to 0. It's the only way we can solve. We have to have that 0. We use that 0 product property, and then set each piece equal to 0. Now when you do this, one thing to keep in mind, every now and then you'll have to move x squared terms because you've got them on both sides. You want x squared to be positive. So just like when you solved regular equations, move things to a certain side. In this case, move them to the side with the positive x squared, or the bigger x squared. Then we factor it, just like we were doing before. You're going to get those two pieces inside parentheses that each just have a single x. Set each factor equal to 0. That's that 0 product property. Once it's factored, we break each of the pieces up, set them equal to 0, solve the individual pieces. In this case, you're going to be getting two answers typically. You can plug them back in and check them to make sure you're doing it right. Just make sure to plug them back into the original problem. So the first problem that we're going to work on solving is p squared plus 2p minus 11 equals 4. So as you can see, we don't have 0 on one side. However, this is the only thing that's not where we want it to be. So we're going to subtract 4 from both sides, giving us p squared plus 2p minus 15 equals 0. So step 1 is done. We've got it equal to 0. Now we need to figure out how we can factor this. So we're going back to that table method. So I need something that's going to multiply to negative 15. That's going to add to a positive 2. So that tells us we're going to have one positive, one negative. 15 is 5 and 3, so I need a negative, so we'll do 5 and negative 3. Well, 5 plus negative 3 equals 2. We got lucky. First try it worked. So our two numbers we're going to use are 5 and negative 3. So this factors to p plus 5 times p minus 3. And we still have that equals 0. It hasn't gone anywhere. We have to keep that side. So that's step 2. It's factored. Now we set each of these two pieces equal to 0 and solve. So p plus 5 equals 0 and p minus 3 equals 0. Don't just assume the numbers you found in your table are your answer. They're not. They're what you put in your factored form, which you then break up into two pieces and solve. So for this one, I'm going to have to subtract 5, and I get p equals negative 5. There's one of my answers. Here I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I get p equals 3. That's my other answer. Now, you want to check, make sure you're correct. We can plug them in. So if we try the negative 5, and I'm checking, I'm going to get negative 5 squared plus 2 times negative 5 minus 11, and that should equal a positive 4. We got to go back to that original before we've done anything to it in case our first mistake was in the first step. So negative 5 squared is 25. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Minus 11 equals 4. Well, 25 minus 10 is 15. 15 minus 11 is 4. 4 equals 4. So we know this answer is correct. We can do the same thing with our second answer. So I can check with 3. 3 squared plus 2 times 3 minus 11 should also equal 4. So 9 plus 6 minus 11 equals 4. 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 minus 11 is 4. So both of our answers work. So this is one of those nice lessons where you can check all your answers. You can make sure they're correct. Now, you might not just have the constants, those plain numbers, on a side by themselves. You might have things that have variables, and that's fine. The goal is to move everything to the side that has the x squared or the bigger x squared. So let's look at another one. N squared minus 12n plus 20 equals negative 3n. So step 1, we've got to get it equal to 0. So once again, we're going to move this guy. So I'm going to add 3n. I'll line it up under my other n term. So I have n squared minus 9n plus 20 equals 0. Step 1 is done. It's equal to 0. Okay, now we need that table. I need things that multiply to positive 20 that add to negative 9. Well, multiplying to a positive means they're either both positive or both negative. Since I need them to add to a negative, that tells me they both need to be negative. So I could do negative 2 and negative 10. If I add those, negative 2 plus negative 10, that's negative 12. That one's not going to work. Okay, negative 4 times negative 5. That's a positive 20. Negative 4 plus negative 5 equals negative 9. There's our numbers, negative 4 and negative 5. So n minus 4, n minus 5, and it still equals 0. Remember, this is an equation. We have to keep that equals and what it actually equals to. Now we break it up. N minus 4 equals 0. N minus 5 equals 0. So we're going to add 4 to both sides, and we get n equals 4 as our first answer. Here we're going to add 5 to both sides, and we get n equals 5 as our second answer. And you could go ahead and check those as well. They are correct, but you could check them anytime. You can go back and check them. So now what you need to do is either finish the worksheet or do the second solving Quizalize so that you can practice the whole reason we factored, this solving polynomials.